Bill Safire, this weekend is so filled with history. 30 years ago, the headline of your paper, the New York Times, "Men Walk on Moon." But what has surfaced is a memo from one Bill Safire to H.R. Bob Haldeman, who was then President Nixon's chief of staff. We can put it on the screen. It was called "In the Event of Moon Disaster." And it was a draft speech that you wrote that began, "Fate has ordained that man who went to moon to explore in peace will stay on the moon to rest in peace. These brave men, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, know that there's no hope for the recovery, but they also know there is hope for mankind in their sacrifice." Tell us about this.
Well, we have a tendency now to just assume that the moonshot, Apollo 11, was an enormous technical feat that exhibited great hope for mankind. I remember when Frank Borman, who was the astronaut who acted as a liaison with the White House, called me up and said, "You're working on this moonshot. You want to consider a alternative posture for the president in the event of mishaps." And that was, as far as I was concerned, a gobbledygook, and I didn't get it until he added, and I can hear him now, like what to do for the widows. Because at that time, the most important, the most dangerous part of the moon mission was to get that lunar module back up into orbit around the moon and to join the command ship. But if they couldn't, and it was a good risk that they couldn't, then they would have to be abandoned on the moon, left to die there. And mission control would then have to use their euphemism, close down communication. And the men would have to either starve to death or commit suicide. And so we prepared for that with a speech that I wrote. And the president was ready to give that. And of course, the module made it. And for 17 years after that, we operated on the assumption that there could be nothing wrong in the space program. And then, of course, until the Challenger exploded on television in front of everybody, we realized what enormous risks that were being run by these astronauts. They laid their lives on the line every time. And as we look back to 30 years ago, some will remember Chappaquiddick that weekend. But the headline of "Men Walk on Moon," that will be looked at 100 or 1,000 years from now.